talk to me about the campaigns going so far.
You know, it's been great. Actually, we've been out throughout the 29 counties of the 3rd Congressional District. We have 54,000 square miles of Colorado, the entire western slope of Colorado, San Luis Valley, all of Huerfano County, all of Pueblo County. So a big area to be able to cover, and we've held town hall meetings throughout the 3rd District, had a couple of debates, and another one coming up this weekend.
You currently represent the area. Talk to me about the challenges the large area represents. Have you been able to cover it well?
You know, we have. You know, we've made an extensive effort to make sure we're in our district. Every weekend that Congress is not in session, I'm back home. And not my home, but out traveling in our district. And it's a great opportunity. And we've got a lot of diversity in our district. We have some of the wealthiest communities in the entire nation and some of the poorest as well. So a lot of different challenges, but the bottom line is we've got a very consistent message that we're hearing out of our district. It's about jobs, it's about our families, ability to be able to have some security for the future.
I was going to ask what your message to voters is who are considering these candidates, you and your opponent right now.
You know, I think it's very important that we have representation that's able to achieve some goals and make sure that we reflect the values of our district. And we've actually had some good success in probably one of the most divisive Congresses that we've seen. We've been able to get 4 bills through the House of Representatives, all with bipartisan support, and we've even had one signed into law. All of them have a common thread that run through them. They don't grow government, they don't spend more money, create opportunities to be able to create private sector jobs, protect our individual freedom, and empower our state.
What are those bills?
You know, we've got the Healthy Forest Management Bill to be able to address what we see throughout the state of Colorado in terms of devastation of our forests with the bark beetle, to be able to get in and actually convert some of that biomass into electricity and to be able to create a healthy environment. Second is Planning for America's Energy Act. We need to be able to create energy security in this country, and why wouldn't we want to be able to create good jobs and to be able to do it in a responsible fashion? That's what that legislation will achieve. Third bill is the Protecting Our Water Rights Act, something that is critically important to the state of Colorado and to the western United States as well, to be able to make sure that the federal government respects our private property rights, our state law, and our priority-based system. Fourth bill that was signed into law this year was the Small Hydroelectric and Jobs Act, to where we're able to put in small hydroelectric units on the canals. The pipelines have been built by the Bureau of Reclamation. Currently have a project underway here in Colorado just outside of Montrose at Chavano Falls, creating jobs and affordable electricity.
All right, so what's the single most important issue then facing voters now? If you were reelected, what would you be?
You know, it's about our families. You know, I've looked into the eyes of people that are worried about holding on to the job that they have. And in our district, in 29 counties, unfortunately, in terms of the real unemployment rate, we still see double-digit unemployment. So it's about creating those opportunities to be able to get private sector jobs created and literally getting this economy moving. We're worried about our families and being able to provide for our children. Those are the types of bills, the legislation that I'm working on.
And currently, then, you have some in the works?
You bet. And the 4 bills that I just mentioned, the Planning for America's Energy Future Act, the Healthy Forest Management Act, Protecting Our Water Rights Act, and we have several others that are currently in the work, hopefully that we'll have an opportunity to be able to put forward this next session. One of the big issues that we really see facing us, because we've held roundtables, most recently we had one down in Pueblo with women-owned businesses, and there's a very constant message that's delivered by our small businesses, visiting with the Chamber of Commerce's as well. And it's over-regulation coming through, and we all understand we need regulations to be able to provide some securities, but we've seen government add 174,000 pages to the Federal Register in terms of regulations, 4,000 new regulations currently in the pipeline. We're seeing a cost incurred of $2 trillion that are being paid, that are being passed on to the consumers. This is inhibiting our ability to be able to create jobs, and that's the message our small business owners are passing on. The uncertainty, the regulations, the impact of the Affordable Care Act coming down. And that's a challenge for our senior citizens who cannot find a doctor now to be able to take Medicare. So these are all issues that are impacting us right here at home, impacting our families and what we're dedicated to addressing.
Your opponent says that he doesn't feel that you represent You have a large district, as you talked about.
Right.
Do you think you've done an adequate job in the Pueblo area versus Grand Junction or Durango?
You know, we view it as a district. I have roots on the west slope of Colorado and in Pueblo as well. And to be able to go out, and we have a very constant issue that runs through the 3rd District. We are rural Colorado. And those issues remain pretty constant. And through the efforts that we've made to be able to reach out into our communities, holding these town hall meetings, holding the business roundtables, walking main streets, and going in and visiting with our folks, I believe that we've reached out and been able to carry that message back to Washington.
And you feel proud of what you've been able to accomplish in Pueblo versus anywhere else?
You bet. You know, when we're looking at the challenges that we face economically, we're delivering that message of let's unleash that entrepreneurial spirit. When we look into Pueblo, we've got a great workforce. We've got great educational opportunities to be able to address a changing economy with PCC and CSU Pueblo. And we've got the opportunity to be able to get this economy moving, and that's what we're fighting for.
Obviously, Congress has a low approval rating right now. You even touched on that a little bit. Do you feel that, I mean, you stood for Republican values. Do you think that you, going back, would be able to contribute or separate the divisiveness?
You know, actually, we've had success bringing people together. The 4 bills that we passed through in this Congress, 1 bill that has been signed into law, I was able to get bipartisan support for all of those bills, not only out of committee but on the House floor. Getting a bill signed into law, passed through the House of Representatives, passed through the Senate, and to be able to get a presidential signature shows that we've been able to get results in a very divisive Congress.
What differentiates yourself from your opponent?
You know, I usually let my opponents speak for themselves. I like to talk about what we'd hope to be able to accomplish, how we're trying to fight for the interests of our district.
So first on the agenda, then, if you're reelected, what would that be?
You know, it's still going to be about jobs in the economy, to be able to create those opportunities, to have an actual look back. We do some very sensible things here in the state of Colorado. One is our sunset legislation. I'm going to be advocating for a bill called the REINS Act to be able to insert Congress back into that rule-making authority, because the challenge that we face right now is if a rule or a regulation which grows out of a bureaucracy goes final, if you want to be able to get rid of it, you have to pass a bill through the House, a bill through the Senate, and get a presidential signature to remove something that no Republican or Democrat ever voted on. Does that make good common sense? I don't think it does. We need to make sure that we're having a system that's actually working for the American people rather than a system that the American people have to work around.
What else do you want voters to know about yourself?
You know, I'm just a small businessman. I have not been a career politician. Spent 30 years in the private sector. Started my own business right out of college that we'd operated in. Part of the motivation for me to be able to run for office is understanding the impacts of government that can be for good or for ill. But it's to create those opportunities for us to be able to flourish, and hopefully for our kids to be able to have that opportunity to be able to live the American dream.
Anything else you want to add?
I think we covered it, so yeah.